I'm Mr. Mega Man fan, this is Genesis Does, and today we're looking at Dial Q o Mawase, and I knew something was up the moment I hit start on this game because there was no under license from Sega, there was no title screen of any kind, and then you get this very weird cutscene where we're only seeing women from the neck up. And then I started to think, is this a bootleg game? Is this one of those Games Express for TurboGrafx PC Engine type games where it's basically softcore cheesecake? And my suspicions were quickly proven correct. I looked up Dalq o Mawase online, and this is what I found. Dalq o Mawase is an adult mahjong game for Mega Drive sold in Japan, presumably in 1992, and it appears to be hacked out of a previous game named Mahjong Cop Ryu, which explains the lack of titles of any kind. First and foremost, Sega obviously didn't and wouldn't license a game of this nature. Second of all, they're not going to admit to their blatant thievery by putting their own names in it, so questionable street vendors probably sold this one under the counter to those that appeared to be old enough to purchase the game, although there's no way for us to know that. We do know the ROM exists because it's been dumped. SegaRetro.org has a record of it. And there's only one thing you can do in this game. You can dial the phone number on this Mahjong Club card, which they spell differently than I've ever seen Mahjong spelled, but whatever. It's a bootleg game hacked out of another game, so you just have to take the misspellings and anything else that's weird about this game the way it is. Then once you dial the club, you apparently connect to a bulletin board of some kind, and it gives you a menu. But you don't have enough points for anything in the menu other than the very top selection, so you really don't get a choice here. And once you select the top option, it immediately goes to a game of Mahjong. So I have one of two conclusions here. Either we're playing dial-up Mahjong over this BBS that I connected to by calling this number, or we called the number and they let us into this Mahjong club and we're actually playing Mahjong for real with this woman, where the goal would obviously be to win, and then like strip poker, the winner gets the loser to take off some of their clothes. Now, I don't remember webcams being a thing in 1992, at least not at a commercial consumer level. If they were used, they were probably only at higher institutions of learning and military facilities that had the kind of internet that could support streaming video, because if you even had internet at home, it was something like America Online or CompuServe and a 56K modem. That was actually later in the 90s. I think back in the early 90s, it would have been anywhere from 2400 baud to 33.6K. So you were not delivering any kind of internet to home users that would have been fast enough to stream video. And the encoding and decoding algorithms probably didn't even exist back then. I don't think the first MPEG came along until the late 90s. So this has to be, you dialed the number for this club, they let you into the club with a secret password of some kind, and once you got in the club, you're playing against this woman in person. Regardless, I can't let it get that far to the point where she actually takes off anything, because then the video will be flagged and taken down, and I will lose any chance of you watching this. So I had to record this footage very carefully and make sure that I did not win. Or at least, if I lose and I get kicked out of the club because I'm out of money or out of clothes, then no harm, no foul, because you're not going to see that in a game like this. Like, they're only going to show you the girl getting undressed. They're definitely not going to show you the protagonist getting undressed. But fortunately for me, I am no good at these Mahjong games. I just pick tiles and hope for the best, and invariably that doesn't work, as you see here, because it says that my opponent won and my total goes down from 1,000 whatever to negative 500, which results in an immediate game over. She's like, sorry, you lose, you're in the hole, you can't stay here, get out of the club. And it immediately kicks back to the opening of the game again with no Sega logo, no title screen, just immediately you're back to the phone and the phone number, and you can't dial any other number. And believe me, I tried, because I was like, I gotta get some entertainment out of this. Maybe there's like a hidden number that you can dial that does something else other than play Mahjong. But no matter what random combination of numbers I picked, I got no Easter eggs. If anybody knows of any, not that I think there's a big fandom for Dial Q O Mawase, the number of articles about it is limited. YouTube footage is, for obvious reasons, equally limited. SegaRetro.org is like the best known example of what this game is and information about it, and even their article is almost barely more than a stub. I would say there's not much chance of there being Easter eggs in this game, because I don't think the developers would have even bothered or cared if they were hacking this out of a other, better, well-known Mahjong game, and they're not going to waste the time to add anything original to a game like that. They just want to shovel in the cheesecake and shovel it out the door, sell as many copies as they can, make whatever money they can before Sega of Japan says, hey, you with this unlicensed game, knock it off. We didn't approve this. We don't want children playing this. Get this out of your stores, or we're not going to ship you any more Sega products ever again. You're treading on thin ice with us, Buster. That's the same kind of threats Nintendo used to leverage against North American stores that sold unlicensed NES games. They were like, you keep selling these games and we're just not going to ship you any more product. We're done with you. You'll never get Nintendo games or consoles ever again. And that worked for most large retailers, although you could still find small mom and pop stores that were willing to sell the bootleg NES games. So I'm sure even in Japan there were some that were willing to sell bootleg Nintendo and bootleg Sega games. But this game is obscure for a reason, and undoubtedly the lack of depth here keeps it obscure because there's just nothing to do here. It's not 1992 anymore, and whether you're a man or a woman or any other kind of orientation, you can get cheesecake a lot easier than a crappy bootleg hacked Sega Genesis / Mega Drive games. So there is nothing further to add about Dial Q O Mawase other than avoid this one. Even if you have the ROM, delete it. It's a waste of your time. I'm Mr. Mega Man Fan. This is Genesis Does. Like, share, comment, subscribe. All those things help the channel grow. And thanks for watching.
Genesis does. Genesis does.